Day 2 of the Nicholas Thomas murder trial has come to a close. Good evening, I'm Colin Ruane.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. Nicholas Thomas is one of 3 people accused of killing 17-year-old Travion Marshall last July at McKee Park. KOMU 8's Amanda Weston was inside the courtroom this evening and joins us in the studio with the details.
About 24 people attended the trial today, and several witnesses testified, including Thomas's friends and former girlfriend. 2 witnesses testified they heard Thomas admit to shooting Marshall. One witness said Thomas told him he shot Marshall in the back, stood over him, and shot again. One witness says before the murder, Thomas frequently carried a gun, but after, he said he had to put it away for a while. The prosecutor showed letters sent to another witness while he was in jail. One of the letters said, quote, "Write a false statement," end quote. Presenting of evidence and testimony will continue tomorrow. Stay with KOMU.com as well as our social media as our coverage of the trial against Nicholas Thomas continues.
A Cole County judge has overturned the conviction of a St. Louis man after he spent 20 years behind bars. A jury convicted Anthony Williams of killing 14-year-old Cortez Andrews in December of 1993. The judge sentenced him to life without parole in 1995, and today we got our hands on the judge's order issued yesterday to overturn the conviction. Judge Daniel Green ruled Anthony Williams, who's now 34, must either be released from the Jefferson City Correctional Center within 15 days or be allowed to return to St. Louis for another trial. Williams was just 14 at the time of his first trial, but stood as an adult. KOMU 8's Nicole Niedenberg talked with Williams' Columbia-based attorney today, and she says she's hopeful for his release and his bright future ahead.
Within 14 days, this man, Anthony Williams, will be set free after spending more than half his life in prison. This is Jennifer Bukowski, Williams' attorney, who says prosecutors got the wrong guy.
Anthony had the misfortune to be an innocent bystander to a crime and was misidentified in a 4-option perpetrator-free lineup.
Bukowski took the case for 3 reasons.
First, he was the youngest at the time of the offense. He's one of 2 people in the state of Missouri and one of only 79 nationwide serving mandatory life without parole, which is second, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals almost reversed this decision. And third, it was the least heinous of the crimes that we reviewed.
Bukowski's team found evidence the defense never heard in Williams' 1995 trial. That evidence includes interviews with witnesses and identification of someone else as the shooter. Recorded 911 calls and police dispatch calls from the night of the incident were also never heard. It's that new evidence, she says, clears her client.
Part of the evidence uncovered was that the 2 independent adult witnesses said he was way back here by the first air conditioner, which they measured to be over 80 feet.
These pictures show the crime scene, and you can see it's hard to see the building itself, let alone a suspect. Among what she calls many inaccuracies in the police reports, Bukowski says one is very important.
That a different boy was arrested for this crime that night after being identified by the identical twin of the victim. That was never disclosed to the defense.
For Williams' family, they couldn't be any happier. Nicole Niedenberg, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
Williams could be released by the 4th of July, but there are 2 things that could slow that process down. The circuit attorney from the city of St. Louis could refile charges, or the attorney general could appeal Judge Green's decision. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Jennifer Joyce released a statement saying, "The Attorney General's office represents the state in this case, and I was made aware of the judgment this morning. While this case predates my tenure as circuit attorney, conviction integrity is of the utmost importance to me. I will thoroughly review the case and the judgment and determine what appropriate actions should be taken."
The University of Missouri received bids today from 10 companies interested in demolishing the University Village apartments. 2 of the 10 are companies from Jefferson City. 4 are from Missouri-based companies and 4 are out-of-state companies. JC Industries out of Jefferson City placed the highest bid at a little more than $1.5 million. Bids include the cost of demolition and asbestos removal, in addition to the cost of recycling the demolished material.
The University of Missouri Board of Curators voted this afternoon to approve changes to sexual assault policy on the 4 campuses of the UM system. One of the changes will make every university employee a mandated reporter. The board also voted to allow system president Tim Wolf to enforce the changes before its next meeting. Wolf created the system-wide sexual assault and mental health task force to implement changes and to help give students and faculty a safer environment. Curator John Phillips says this is just a start and they plan to implement even more changes.
The board already fully realizes this, that this is a work in process, and we may only be, a quarter of the way through. Don't expect this to be the cure-all.
The curators will not meet again until October, but work will continue through the summer with the goal of having policies in place at the beginning of the fall semester.
Some bus stops on the new Como Connect bus routes in Columbia currently don't have any bus shelters. Public Transit Advisory Commissioners discussed new shelter designs at a meeting tonight. MU architecture students created the new designs. The city released the different models in May for public input and for people to vote on. As of last week, more than 25,000 votes have been collected. The project coordinator says public response has been overwhelmingly positive.
One of the things they like the best is that this was done by students. We've heard a lot of positive comments that we're using local talent to address this issue. They also like the fact that they're sustainable and that they allow for public art. That's been very well received.
In addition to discussing the new bus shelter designs, the commission also discussed the projects funded by the possible state transportation tax. Missouri voters will get a chance to decide on the sales tax increase on the August 5th ballot.
A Fulton couple is in the Callaway County Jail tonight after being arrested in connection with a shots fired phone call on June 17th. Fulton police and Callaway County deputies arrested Terrell and Christy Reynolds around 2 p.m. today. Terrell is charged with unlawful use of a weapon, unlawful possession of a concealable firearm, and third-degree assault, while Christy was arrested on a Cole County warrant on forgery charges. Terrell is being held on a $10,000 bond, while Christy's bond is set at $5,000.
The family of former Boonville Mayor Bernard Bud Kemp remembers his life. Family members say he had a history of heart trouble and died Tuesday of old age at 82. The city of Boonville is set to dedicate the street that runs through Rolling Hills Park to Bud. Thatcher Funeral Home Services announced today. Visitation is set for Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. at St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Boonville. Kemp's funeral is Monday at 11 a.m. and the church and is open to the public. He was a member of the Boonville City Council before becoming mayor from 1990 through 2002. The family gathered this afternoon to remember Bud and remind themselves of the impact he had on the community.
Before my dad passed away, my brother and I brought my dad out here. We drove him around the park and we said, Dad, this is going to be your street, Bud Kemp Boulevard. And he would say, isn't that something? Isn't that something?
Kemp says the city plans to dedicate the road as Bud Kemp Boulevard on Saturday, June 28th.
It's been a scorcher outside the past few days, so let's check in with meteorologist Rosie Newberry to see what we can expect this weekend.
Thanks very much, Brittany. It looks like more of the same. Most chances of rain have already come to an end tonight across mid-Missouri, and for the first time all evening, most of our temperatures look pretty uniform. Because rain was moving through in kind of localized patches earlier on today, temperatures were kind of a patchwork quilt, but it looks like most of us are into the middle 70s at this time. Chances of rain, as I said, for the most part are coming to an end for the overnight hours, and it looks like we'll just have mostly cloudy skies as we get ready for Friday morning. Friday afternoon, as the sun begins to shine again, we're going to bump up the heat and bump up the humidity right back to where we've been all week. And so it's looking like a pretty warm start to official summer, which again comes on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about everything that you can expect in your next 8 days in total. A good in-depth look at your forecast coming up in a bit later in this newscast.
Coming up this January, the federal government mandated all healthcare providers to switch to electronic medical records. Hear what doctors think of the change after the break.